Hello and welcome to a high-level Setons match on Setons with these lovely players. And this match was played a few days ago, so it's still quite nice, new and fresh. There's going to be a bunch that I'm going to be looking at this match, but I'm mostly interested in rock and beach play and going for the rock island. It's something that I've been noticing in my gameplay. I never quite know exactly how to optimize either going for it as rock, making sure you get there fast enough, soon enough, or contesting it as beach. Because naturally, if you can upset the rock play, the graph for these rock islands, that makes your life so much easier and better. So we do have some very high rated players in this match. Particularly, we've got Box at 2000, we've got Shinobu at 2300. They're the Box beach matchup over here, and we also have City Slicker at 2100, and then we have a smidgen of other individuals also in this match. So what both of these guys do is that they go the fast air factory or first air factory. Got the engineer reclaiming all the lovely clumps of trees. Manual reclaim orders gives you a good advantage to go good and fast to get your builds up all nicely and seamlessly without difficulty. Also, what I've noticed these guys are doing is a fast air scout, right? And what this guy's for is to figure out what the beach opponent is doing. Beach goes land factory first, and then the air factory, and that's the hydrocarbon, which is all good fun and well. But this air scout is trying to figure out if Shinobu is going to contest for rock, and then Box can change his build order differently depending on how committed Shinobu is. So second air factory 2, which is a fine thing, and we can see on the left hand side of the map too, we've also got Sab Noob went land factory first and then air factory. So he's going to be a little bit slower to rock than what Box would be. So the scout has seen the air factory of Shinobu. I don't think he saw Shinobu on the air transport. So Shinobu not only trying to contest rock, Shinobu wants to claim it for his own. Sneaky. We also have a cheeky little scout from red over here. That's going to help his teammates somewhat, giving him quite good intel. That's a really cool and nice touch, which I might take in my future games because, yeah, that's really very cool. Another aspect of this game that I've noticed quite common is that the beach player quite often now sends their comm mid to help contest for the middle mass over here. It can be a bit of a dangerous move just because controlling more than one front can be difficult, but can make quite a big difference there. And okay, so now Box has seen the transport from Shinobu, so that's sending his interceptors. Box has already landed his interceptors on the transport. A Duke over there moving towards interceptors at the point of engagement allows fewer firing cycles of the interceptors onto the transport, and Shinobu's interceptors on Box's interceptors, and he manages to kill them all, and the transport is back on its way. But Box is going to try and contest it once again with another interceptor, but Shinobu now has 3 interceptors on it and gets 1 hit. The transport is down to 28 hit points. That's disgusting, but Box does have a A8 turret on the map, and yeah, this is really nice play from Shinobu. He jukes again, moves his air transports away from the island. He knows he can't land. He has too few hit points on the transport, so he's going to go land it somewhere else on the map. So that's some really impressive play there. The transport still lives and survives. Box did get there fast enough, even though Shinobu was pretty quick on the uptake with interceptors and transports. So, okay, cool. And he did bring 2 mech marines here as well as 3 engineers, and he should land the engineers to try and cause some mischief. He sends together a gunship forward, but it gets rapidly smashed with 1 interceptor, well, because he had no hit points. A land factory goes down on Shinobu over here, reclaiming the mechs. This is quite important to disrupt in this area here, because very often the beach player will want to build his naval matrix in this area. So any disruption here can really delay any kind of naval that was intended. Other popular, particularly if you are Cyberin, is to build hives over here, and you build your high-level naval factories over here, and they can get hive assist, and that's very popular and also very effective. Here is also an option because they have engineers on standby from the land factory. Okay, so that happened over here. On this side, Sad Noob did claim the Rock Island, much less of a fight here it would seem. Put down a fast PD after the first land factory, claiming the mexes, and that definitely appears to be quite solidly in Sad Noob's favor. There's a lot going on in Setons. 4 players basically playing 4 low matches simultaneously, so a lot of content does get missed. Mid players going ham with the tier 1 armies shooting each other, as you should and would expect. Still a lot of reclaim here. So if one of the beach players did send a commit, it would really help in claiming the reclaim for their team. But as I said before, it's very easy to forget your comp here and actually die, which is not good. But it will definitely help your team claim the mass that you have. Are these rush frigates? Not really rush frigates, but it's a fast and forward frigate. So the goal of this frigate would be to kill these engineers to try and disrupt the naval production from Shinobu. Any delay in building naval infrastructure can give you a huge advantage. If you can get T2 Navy or Navy lock your opponent, that just gives you a huge advantage. It doesn't even matter how much eco they get. If you can get, if you can limit the naval production, you can straight up win. It doesn't go. That is not going to happen here. Shinobu has enough frigates to kill this frigate, and he has enough capacity and wherewithal to throw enough engineers to build naval factories that he needs to carry on. T1 bombers on the front line, which is also very, very effective. T1 bombers are really effective at killing T1 units, mass clumps, so you get a lot of very good value from these. They're still in the early days, they haven't quite achieved their success in life yet, but oh my goodness, VMC escaped with a sliver of his health, but he survives. So both sides have bombers coming down. Red does have AAA in his mix. Well, VMC does not, but things are happening here. There's the Oblivion turret, so that should secure the middle. But Crusher is also very, very, very low on HP, so there's a committed effort to try and kill him with the T1 bombers. I don't know if it's going to work. He does have T1 AA in his mix, and he can dodge, and he's calling for air. And he's putting down turrets, but he's just going to be dancing about for quite some time. This RT isn't trying to move forward with the T1. I guess the Oblivion turret is going to take care of it. The shield is coming down. If that shield comes up, he will be safe from the mischief that is coming down towards him. And it looks like he will be safe. The bombers seem to be mostly cleared up, or rather he has enough hit points to be able to take the bomber strikes. If the bombers hit the shield, then before it goes up, it could deny the production, but he is going to be a-okay. VMC upgrading T2 over here. This is a very ballsy move. He could die there. If Naval had submarines or the wherewithal to look for him, he could kill them. But in Setons games, killing the front player can be a mixed bag and can be a little bit questionable at times. It can work in spades, especially in high-level games. I think it's always advantageous. The danger is that you give double eco to whoever on the other side gets the front eco, and if the other front player doesn't commit to destroying the eco, you can actually give your enemy a huge advantage if you kill the front player and then your front player sits back and doesn't take advantage of the situation. It happens often, particularly in lower level games, I have noticed, or lower level players. They're happy to kill the eco player and then don't push the advantage. And that's actually really bad because, as I said, one of the naval players or the air player will get their eco from the front slot, and yeah, that'll be a huge advantage. What I'm really liking to see from Box is he's created a picket line with frigates, which is great. It's something that you'd expect in real life warfare, a nice picket line of frigates, just to make sure nothing gets past. It means no drops can get past unnoticed. Perhaps that's the main reason. It is a thing that players will try and build sneaky naval yards in the corners of the map. It happens. We can tactical missile on VMC, which is a very good use of his comm. It's cheeky, it's aggressive, and he will use this to try and TML mexes from both red and blue. He will have to walk in a little bit further. Very aggressive play, but it is Setons, and Setons is full share. And it's that point in the game where his eco is, he has T2 mexes, he has a T2 land factory. Throwing up some T2 PD can secure the front position and not put a huge amount of APM on his players who gets the front slot. So if he can get some kills, that can give his side a large advantage, even if he dies. But hopefully he won't. Focusing back on Shinobu and Box, we have 145 eco from Shinobu versus 161 from Box. So a slight eco advantage to Box, who does have the rock. Perhaps Shinobu has more T3 mexes, for the current situation, going up to T2, and they should be focusing on upgrading the naval production. They're quite content to both sit back with their swarms of frigates. Both of them are actually quite happy to sit back with swarms of frigates. We've got some mercies here. Oh, that's the TML from the commander, which is going to cause some damage. The TMD goes down now, so should get in at least 2 hits. Okay, the 2 core mexes are going to come down. You won't get the other core mexes, but all these front 4 mexes, T2, are liable to die to the commander. That one does get intercepted, so that's good. Hopefully that's going here, because otherwise there'll be another waste of a TML. Take that one out too. So this is going to cause a lot of trouble. So he's just going to keep going. Look how fast this reloads. He might GTFO just because he expects enemy navy to come and kill him. It's unclear. He is moving away. And there's a TMD here. So he got 1, 2, 3, 4 T2 mexes. Very good value. That's a big advantage to his side to take that down. The frigates on both top and bottom ponds, yeah, quite stationary. So this is quite cool. No side, no lane got crushed. They're all kind of even Stevens, as it were. So yeah, it's looking up to be quite a decent match. The air players have some ASFs over here, has some ASFs over here. As you'd expect, nothing aggressive from the air players yet. No strap bombers, some scouts coming through. So that's very good to see. We've got a drop here that has ambition, but maybe they're a little scaredy at the moment. It's going to be scouted, but a drop here could be devastating actually. There's only one T2 turret, which will not stop a drop. And lots of juicy targets for those Lobos or those T1 artists should they drop, but getting to drop is a lot easier than what it sounds. Sadnoob has an ASF. It must have been gifted to him because he doesn't have a T3 air factory, so that's fine. Still, everyone seems to be ecoing. It's kind of a lull in the game. VMC is now going to TML Sadnoob as best they can, which is an excellent thing for him to do because red is all TMD'd up, but no hits there. Okay, so it's an eco trick that often players do. I don't know. It's not such a commonly well-known thing, but it's reasonably well known. If you're going to upgrade a T2 max to a T3 max, it's actually more efficient if you Control K the T2 max and then reclaim the wreckage and then build a new T3 max. The advantage you get from that is that the cost of upgrading a T2 to a T3 max and the cost of building a T3 max are actually exactly the same. But if you Control K the max, you get the wreck. So the advantage is you get the wreck if you Control K it. The disadvantage is that you don't get any income from the T2 max while it's upgrading. So the trick is you do Control K it, reclaim the wreck, and then very quickly build the T3 max. And then you can actually get an extra 700-800 mass from the T2 wreck. So it's substantial. It's very definitely worth doing if you have the APM for it. You also need a T3 builder, a T3 max or T3 in your comm. So you do have to have that on standby if you want to go that route. Often you might not have that. A massive swarm of frigates coming through. A land naval factory getting upgraded. What's Yellow up to? He is probably doing the same thing. No, he's still quite content to just mass frigates. And in the top pond being upgraded, there's some wreckage there of some value. Frigates everywhere as far as I can see, some scouts coming through. Still everyone content to almost sit back and assess the situation to try and figure out what on earth to do. We do have some torpedoes from trash ass garbage. Well, that's a very optimistic name, very self-deprecating. But here we are. What's the next move going to be? Some scouting to make sure there are no shenanigans. Box has some T2 torps on standby as well, just because he thinks he might need them. He hasn't gone T2 or T3 Navy yet, which is a bit of a surprise. And Shinobu is actually going straight T3 Navy. As a UEF player, if you can go T3 Navy, if you can skip the T2 phase, do it. Battle cruisers are amazing. They are fantastic against all things T1, T2. And it's kind of an if, but if you can get your battle cruisers in range of battleships, they will do very well. Cost effective, they're very high DPS. They don't have the hit points that a battleship would have, but they're very cost effective DPS, and they can dodge battleships. But battleships can't dodge a battle cruiser. Their laser beams are laser. So they don't miss. You do also, when I go UEF Navy, I also tend to like to layer on the shield boats and cruisers. But in these high level games, you'll tend to see that the players often try and be very skimpy on cruisers because they trust and expect the air players to provide the AA support that they need. Yeah, they will, if at all possible, they will definitely try and minimize how many cruisers they need to build. Only as a last course, they will tend to try and do that. So you've got battle cruisers coming out, you've got 2 factories, battle cruisers, and then you also want a mix of battleships and battle cruisers. You can't, well, I mean, you can live on battle cruisers alone, but your opponent often won't let you. If your opponent has enough battleships, it can be painful getting in range. And he can just kite you, and it can hurt a lot. But in the chaos of battle, getting your battle cruisers in range of battleships does work very well. And we still have frigates, because frigates are very good to get shot at, mostly. If a battleship is shooting at your frigate, it means that the enemy battleship is not shooting at something that's more expensive, more useful, more valuable. And even better if the frigate is moving and the battleship misses the frigate. Even better if you're UEF and you have radar jamming and the battleship shoots at false signatures. Okay, Sea Slicker is asking for 1 ASF, probably so he can take out the air scouts by himself. Still, this drop here, long forgotten. All potential not realized. Well scouted. Oh, that was the same team scout, but yeah. Trash ass garbage. Persistent with his scouts, so that's cool. We've seen quite a lot of Galaxy class battleships coming from the Cyber player box to try and secure his naval victory. The air players still seem to be quite content on just building up. Got a nice SMD there. Just building up, ecoing, getting the air grids, going T3 in his comm. Not unclear super why. Shinobu wants top bombers. So yeah, the battle cruiser coming in. So tons of hit points, dodging the battleship shots, nicely microed, missing so many battleship shots, just constantly jibbing and jibing. Got the shield boat now, so the jibbing and jibing is less useful because the battleship is going to hit the shield regardless, but the good habit of jibbing and jibing is still there, and he's just happily killing frigates while taking very little damage himself, and the battleships don't seem to do a damn thing about it. It's lovely to watch. It's great to watch. It's some very nice micro from Shinobu. Both in his T1 transport landing and also in the battle cruiser coming through. Fantastic. And the cruise, not cruisers, the shield boats are coming out, but he's gonna maybe keep them away. It looks like he's power stalling, but this battle cruiser is still doing work. He has taken some shots. He's in the yellow, but consider one battle cruiser alone versus all of this gets 22 kills and very little damage to show for it. Red has gone hard in the Navy to help out his teammate, and VMC needs to figure out how he can help his team. He's a mid player, the battle for the mid has passed, but being a mid player, you still have to do things, right? So he's got a nuke missile here, which is good. That's one way to contribute. Often you'll see the mid player going to Navy, left or right. Often you'll also see them go at T4 experimental, shoving down the middle. That can work very well in low level games. In high level games, throwing experimentals down the middle often doesn't work and just ends up being a mass donation. So I don't hate an SML. He could get very good damage off of it. It can work, it might not work. His naval players might prefer boats. So that's maybe a team decision. The battleships now are spoiled for targets, so they're just going to move up and down all the live day long, shooting at things until the end of the game or until there are no more targets. You always want to keep your battleships moving because, yeah, battleships miss a lot. Battleships moving, battleships, if one of them's moving, there's a lot of misses. And that's, you can think of that as free hit points. Hits you don't take in the face don't count. Nice hit. So we've got Seraphim versus Seraphim in the top part. And yeah, Red's got a ton of frigates over here. Some cruisers, some tour bombers coming in. The airplay seems to be... I have no idea who's got more. But Box is sending in some tour bombers into this battle cruiser. It's going to intercept with its ASFs and they're going to get absolutely munched. They get one pass in on the battle cruiser, which is totally not worth it. But what you do want to get is some veterans in the battle cruisers, because then they start regenerating hit points, and then they can become a pain in the ass. It's not impossible to have a battle cruiser, your first battle cruiser of the game, to survive the entire game, living a lot on the veterancy that he gets and his meat shield frigates that can and should be around him. Tons of battleships, tons of frigates. This is going to take some while. Proper meat grinder. How is this nuke coming along? It's about 60%. Big air fight over here, or rather, the top bombers have been intercepted. They will die. Whether or not there's going to be a big air fight still remains to be seen. No AA in Yellow's fleet yet, or just the frigates. The frigates can clean up these top bombers if the ASF weren't there, just with their little pew pew tickle guns. They will clean them up. They will take hits. Both air players choosing at this time not to engage in the air battle, which is fine. The Galaxy class battleships spoil for target, constantly shooting, missing a lot, and occasionally killing a frigate. There goes one. It is dead now. Battle cruisers are so good at cleaning up frigates because they never miss. They just wreck these things. 31 kills on this cruiser and 6 on that one. Those kills will rank up as long as they don't die. Definitely want to get veterancy on this bad boy. He will get it soon. He will get it soon. Let's hope that doesn't persist, because that will make me very sad. Okay, let's hope that desync doesn't affect the game or continue. We'll keep on going and hope everything's still fine. I hope. So we do have the nuke coming here. I did watch the replay a bit before to make sure it was worth watching, so I have a vague idea of what is still supposed to happen. So let's hope that desync isn't important, but we'll continue with the cast. I did check, I don't know why that happens, I don't know how you avoid it. I did watch the replay. This is not the first time I've run the replay, and I didn't get that desync the first time. So the nuke is coming through. It looks like it's going to come down on Crusher. There is an SMD here. It is not loaded. It's about 75%, so that's all going to go up in toast. So big advantage for front. Is that the best place for the nuke? It's unclear. Probably would have been much more worthwhile to nuke Shinobu, but he can nuke him still in the future. City Slicker is unimpressed that he's fighting two navies. So bottom front player assisted Pond top, middle top front player nuked mid front player, and as far as the other teams continue, I think City Slicker is having a harder time because he has all these extra red things to deal with. We'll see if additional value is being able to be achieved from the nuke. The bottom team has a lot of ASFs over the navy now. The frigates are in close quarter combat, swarming the battleships. Frigates do quite well against battleships when they surround them constantly. The battleship does a very bad job at killing them very, very slowly, and the frigates will tickle them down to death. Battle cruisers help too. 3 battle cruisers will really make sure that Yellow struggles to keep his frigate numbers up. We've got some SACUs sent down here, and this is probably the most cost-efficient way of cleaning up naval wreckage, because there's a ton of naval wreckage. So you don't want to send your RAS SACUs. The normal SACUs done upgrade are much cheaper, and they're almost just as good for collect a naval reclaim. So that's what you want to send. You want to send unupgraded Sakyus. It doesn't matter who you are. You don't even have to be a naval player. Or you could be Shinobu and send Sakyus up here. The mass is on the floor. There's a ton of it. Go and get it no matter who you are. The mass is on the floor. Go get it. It's good for you. It's good for the team. It's good for your whole family. And it's also good for your bones. So it looks like we've got what's looking to be an ASF fight. I think they're both trying to determine whether or not they can win the fight. The brave torpedo bombers are coming through, getting a few hits in and off. It looks like there will be an air fight. This is going to be big. Will they actually engage? It seems that's so close. They got so close there, because at some point you just have to commit. Once you're in, you can't actually disengage. Okay, so it's a fully committed fight now. They're shooting at each other. So you have to stand fight. You're not going to get away. If you get away, you're just going to lose everything by getting shot in the back. So they're in it. Swim speed has slowed because, yeah, it turns out this takes a lot of computational power to calculate. Both naval players don't seem to have any AA in them, so it's all just the frigates really, and they have not much AA, so it's a lot of airplanes are going to die here. It will, as things start dying, the swim speed will increase, as I'm sure you're all well aware. And it's looking like Kurultai is going to win the ASF fight, even though pink is there helping. It's still hard to tell with the colors who has more, but I think it's going to be green. I think it's going to be Kurultai is going to carry the day. A lot of additional wreckage on the ocean floor to claim, but that's going to give a huge advantage to the top team to have ASFs. And we can see he still has like 100. He still has maybe 200 ASFs left, so he beat that by a very healthy margin. And now he can go ham on torpedo bombers and really help the top yellow player. Top navy is struggling. We've got one nuke off. We should see another nuke be launched immediately. He can't seem to decide on a target. I would have thought Shinobu would have been the obvious target. But he has launched it. We'll see where it goes. But Top Pond is having a sad time. I think if I was VMC, I would help Top Pond, just because his opposite is helping Top Pond, and Pussy Slicker is going to feel abandoned by his mid player as he is. It's going to come down here. It's going to kill things. It only took out 2 battleships. But I think Shinobu has had enough. Nuke being the final nail in the coffin. Yellow was doing a very good job against him, and now he's just getting absolutely pummeled by top bombers. There's not a damn thing he can do about it. So Yellow was, Bond Pond was definitely won. Crusher seems to have quit as well. I guess that's a morale kill because Shinobu quits, although Crusher still had a lot to contribute to the match. He could definitely had helped assist here. Top Point is far from lost. But yeah, bottom team is definitely in a dangerous situation here. Yellow is now putting some aircraft carriers into the mix. If you're somewhat new to the game, don't be confused. Aircraft carriers are here for the AA support. They are not to aircraft or carrier. They have AA guns, and that's why they're there. For Cybran, and for many races now, the AA from the carrier is very similar in effect to the AA from the cruiser. They are more expensive, but they have very many more hit points. So that's why they're included. Some are better AA, some are more expensive, but very much more hit points. And that's why it makes them worth building instead of cruisers very often. Yeah. So it's nice to see Sakyus still in the floor, ocean floor, sucking up that mass, trying to fuel the ocean battle. City Slicker trying to hold on as best he can. But he's having a hard time. He has battleships. They're doing their little best, but there is just so much from Sad Noob. Trash Ass Garbage is trying to rebuild his ASF count to get back into the game. And this is what I really like to see. I didn't see him repair his ASF, but if you recall, Krutai had a lot of ASF, 200 nearly, that was left over from the big battle in the middle. Most of them all damaged, and he was like, you know what, let's repair them. And he built the air station facilities and he repaired them. It's very good to see that kind of economical use of your units. And it doesn't take a lot of APM to do it either. You just build them and then patrol them over a little bit until they're repaired, and then you're done. It's very APM efficient to do. Yellow getting right in the face in the naval production dockyards in the southern pond, and they should clear up pretty smartly at the rate they're going. All these frigates can be sent down there too. I'm not quite sure why he's choosing to keep them down here. I guess it's just an APM issue at the moment. There is a lot to control. Trash Ass Garbage using torpedo bombers now to try and clear up some battleships. It's a bold move because I think he is well outclassed in ASF. 160 ASF from Trash Ass Garbage compared to 182. Okay, so similar levels of ASF, but that is probably because Kurotai has focused on things like torpedo bombers. And in the chat, it wasn't mentioned, but he is intending to build a Scathers. Now the nuke being launched. I wonder what the target will be. Yeah, probably not worth nuking here now. I would have gone for, not here. But these naval dockyards is the target I would choose. Dockyards, I don't know if you are aware, can't move. Boats can. So it's going to come down here and it's going to hit one battleship. I mean, a nuke can get a lot more battleships like that. If it landed here, it would do a lot more damage. Battleships do move. You can usually predict as a Navy player where the nuke is going to go. I always prefer dockyards for the few reasons that dockyards are expensive. It limits the production ability. You do a lot of mass damage. And you're also very likely to kill battleships as they're being produced, because I don't know if you know, battleships under construction in a dockyard also can't move. And it's very hard to cover your dockyards with a nuke. You can try and put an SMD over here, as has been done, but it's not loaded. And it's not clear whether or not this was even scouted. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Who launched it? It was VMC. VMC does. VMC have knowledge of this SMD. He didn't even know there was an SMD there. Okay. So, well, he didn't not nuke there because there was an SMD. Another nuke option is the Eco on the rock. Unless you have a very high probability of chance of success of nuking a naval boat, I would rather not try and nuke battleships. Atlantises and Tempests, I think, are a different story because they're so slow. It's very hard to dodge anything with the Tempest. And also with an Atlantis, so it's very, very hard to dodge nukes with Atlantis. Poor City Slicker has been really pushed back to his utter limits. He is the punching bag of the game. He's the punching bag of Sad Noob and also Crusher, or was Crusher. Yeah, okay, so Kurotai, he's getting ready to build the Scathers. He's getting ready. Everything's all ready in place. And you see these engineering stations, and if you scouted this, you might think something as terrible is up. Sad Noob has also thrown in the towel. I'm not entirely sure why. Okay, this was the desync. Okay, so there was a desync that did occur in the game. It did affect the output. What actually happened in the game, Kurotai did build a Scathers. And when the first volley landed, they basically gave up. So that's what happened in the replay. It worked when I first watched it. I don't know why it desynced the second time I watched it. It's unfortunate. Everything else seemed to go almost as it should have done. The only thing that seemed to be different is that obviously you see no Scathers here. But there was a Scathers, you can believe, and that's why they both quit. So that's the match. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you catch you next time. Also, I am on Twitch now, so there's a description in the description place where you would expect to see a description, so you can follow me there. So that'd be great. Okay, Thanks for watching.